I'm Murray Popplewell from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and Scottsdale, Arizona. We've got farms in both places. It was, I guess, about 15 years ago, my wife and I decided that maybe we should have a horse. And so we decided we'd go out and look for a horse. And it didn't matter what breed it was. We just started with any type of a horse that we could ride in the ditches. And we had an acreage, and it was kind of a novelty thing. And so we both went out and we looked for horses, and we happened to, I found a purebred Arabian that I fell in love with, and she found a half Arabian. And it was half quarter horse, half Arabian. We thought that was great, and then we went to the tack shop and mentioned to the people that we had bought a horse, and and they wanted to know what kind of horse. So we said Arabians, and they said, well, we raise Arabian show horses. And so we decided, well, you come out some Sunday and take a look, and we went out and we took a look, and that was the beginning of the end. And we just had to buy a mare. We bought a mare. A couple of days later, it foaled, and we had a filly, and we thought we had the world by the tail, and it was going to be easy because we could just use this mare now and breed her and sell the baby for big money, but it didn't work that way. And so. I guess it's, we're surrounded by a lot of beautiful horses in this business, but it's the people. We're surrounded by great people. People that have picked stalls and have grown up with work ethics. You've got to have work ethics to have these horses. It's just not something you can do, and they're not pets, they're a lot of work. And so I enjoy the people. I enjoy the idea of trying to sell the Arabian horse. It's completely different than my other business. My other business, we build underground mining machines, and so we have to wait for budgets to be approved and tenders to go out and bidding to happen, and then you get the order, and then you got to build it and commission it. But here, this is kind of a love thing, and people have a passion for the horse. And you and I could have the same pedigree of horse, but it's completely different horse. So we're not in competition with each other. It's a very interesting way to sell horses, and it's instantaneous buying, and I just love the challenge. To me, it's important because they are a registered animal, and the other thing that I think we have to, by attracting new people to this business, is you have to fall in love with the horse first, and then you can go to the show. If you go to the show and thinking you're going to fall in love with the horse, to me it's backwards. You got to love the Arabian horse, and then the show is a challenge. But if you're doing the show just for the recognition and the ribbon, it's not going to work. And so you've got to love the animals.
Right. With that foundation of registration really comes to play there.
Oh yes. There's nothing. We're strictly purebreds. We don't do any half Arabians. We just feel that leave that expertise up to somebody that knows more about it, and we just like to raise the purebred Arabians, and the registration is so important. It's got to happen. It gives the horse some stability in the pedigree.
Right, and that keeps that history.
Yes, yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about the Arabian Horse Association is there's a lot of work to keep this all put together, and by that you're protecting our investments, and I look at it as a plus. Well, I hate to talk about the things I don't like, but at the same time, I think what we have educated ourselves on the treatment of horses. It's come a long ways from the time I started in it, and I'm relatively new in it, but it's come a long ways in the last 15 years on how horses are shown. There's many changes. I just would, in the halter division, I would like to establish a definite method of showing our horses and chip it into stone so that it doesn't change every year. I find right now because of incidents that are happening and stuff, the association is responding, and every year it seems to be different how we can show our horses. And we really don't know that when we go to a national show until the night before. And to me, we spend a lot of money in the animals. We spend a lot of money breeding. We spend a lot of money showing the horses. And every time it's different, and we hardly know how it's going to be. And so I think the association has got to establish a definite method of showing these horses and let us all know what that is.
Yeah. It's a pretty current controversy right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, and it is controversy, and I think it is up in the air, and I think the association is really trying. I believe it. They really want to get this fixed. It used to be the halter classes were the highlight of the show. It was packed to watch the stallions. It was packed to watch the mares. Now we understand that because of the videos and everything that can be spread worldwide, less people are coming to the shows where they can watch it online. And so it's something that I don't know if it's good for a business or bad for a business, but it's nice when the stands are full, people are cheering. It takes very little to show your horse. The energy that's in the crowd brings your horse up. And it makes it that the trainers have to do that much less to try and get what they know their horse can do. And so it's a spectator sport. It was a spectator sport, and it has to remain that. And we as an association have to figure that out. What are we going to do to try and make it more exciting? And it is right. The horses feel the energy of people. The Arabian especially, they just love a show. They love a crowd. They love the cheering, and they get more and more animated as that happens. And so we have got to get it back to a point where it's a spectator sport. Now, whether that gets spectator involvement, because there's nothing more boring than watching a halter class. If you don't know pedigrees and you don't know whose horse it is, there's nothing more boring. Except we got to get more motion into our horses and get them to trot better, less stand up, and more trot. I think it's because there's nothing more exciting. Somebody asked me, why do you do halter? And I said, because the Arabian horse looks the best at liberty, and halter is the closest thing to it. We're controlling it by a little lead rope and a little thin show halter, and it's the closest thing to liberty there is. And that's why I do halter, and because of the beauty of the animal. And so we've got to get that into the show ring, and get people to understand that this is where you see the most beauty in the animal. It's very nice to see a Western class, or it's very nice to see a hunter class or an English class, but those are all controlled animals. And I think the best is when there's very little control to the animal. Let him show himself. We had bought this mare, and it foaled within 3 days, and so we're very new at it, of course. And so I'll tell you an incident that happened that our vets still laugh about. But so what happened is we had the foal, and it was about a week old, and you know how they kind of go out in the sun and they lay down in the sun and they flop right out. And so the people that we bought the mare from, they came over to look at the foal, and the foal was just laying there, and he said to us, you have to be careful that in the sun they can dehydrate. And so we didn't know that. And so when they left, we went over to the foal. It was flat out laying in the sun, and so we picked its head up, and it kind of just flopped down. And we picked it up again, and it flopped down. And we panicked. We didn't have a horse trailer, so we put the mare in the barn. We scooped up in my arms this foal. We got into our brand new truck. I sat in the passenger seat. My wife drove us. We went to the vet college with this baby, with the mare in the barn. We left the mare at home. And so we come running in, and the vet say, well, where's the mare? And we said, oh, there's nothing wrong with her. This is a baby. And so they were quite, we had to go back and get the mare and take her back, the baby back. It was slightly dehydrated, but nothing serious. But it's just how green we were. And bit by bit you learn, and you learn from these incidents. And I think the best part of the whole industry is breeding horses. There's nothing more rewarding than bringing an animal into the world and living with it. And we breed every horse with the idea of keeping it. Now, that's a statement that I really haven't backed up, because you do sell some. But the idea of breeding that horse was to breed it so that it would be such a good horse that you would keep it. And we've got foals in our barn that are not for sale. And we got fillies and mares that are not for sale. And it's because of the pedigree of those mares. And we may never get that again. And not that they're invaluable, it's just that as a breeder, you have to keep some of your best to carry your program the next step.
Always looking ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so there's some that people have come in and want to purchase, and we just say it's not for sale. And so, but I suppose everything's for sale in the long run, but we have to be very careful.